Kashmir is not just a place but an emotion everyone wants to experience. Popularly called the paradise on earth, for centuries its land has been calling wanderers from all around the world. After India's independence, Article 370 under the Indian Constitution granted Kashmir a special status which enabled the state to have its autonomy, a separate governing body along with property rights and special privileges to permanent residents. But in August 2019, this article was abrogated, since the central government felt that doing so will help resolve decades of political turmoil the state has been enduring, allowing tourism to growth, foreign investments, and a more direct control over security. Ghulam Mohammed is a shikara rower in the Dal Lake. Even after many rowers have started using motors, he still holds on to his roots. After the government has seemingly allowed investors from outside the state to start businesses in the state and the tourism growth rate has increased up to 15.3% annually, Ghulam Mohammed seems to have a favorable opinion.
और बीच में 74 तक में शिकारा चलाया था उस वक्त। उसके बाद 89 से यहाँ थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो गया, फिर 7-8 साल फिर बहुत काम मुश्किल हो गया यहाँ पर। उस वक्त टूरिस्ट आता ही नहीं है। फिर 99 में फिर चालू हो गया यहाँ बिजनेस। इस टाइम वो कारगिल का वार हो गया, उसी टाइम से फिर चालू हो गया। फिर बीच में कुछ लफड़ा होता है और 2-3 सालों से कुछ भी नहीं है, बिल्कुल शांत है, बिल्कुल क्वाइट।
पर टूरिज्म बढ़ा है ना पिछले 4 साल में?
ये बोल रहे ना मैं। 2-3 सालों से बिल्कुल कुछ भी नहीं है, बिल्कुल शांति है। टूरिज्म भी बहुत बड़ा है, कुछ नहीं है। फिर अगर रात भर भी आप घूमेगा तो कोई टेंशन नहीं है। पहले तो समझो डर ही आता है, अभी आप रात भर भी घूमेगा तो कोई डर नहीं है। लेक में घूमेगा, रोड पर घूमेगा, कहीं घूमेगा, नो प्रॉब्लम।
तो बिजनेस को फायदा हुआ है पिछले 3-4 साल में?
3 साल भी बहुत फायदा आ गया, झूठ क्यों बोलेगा। 3 साल से बहुत फायदा आ गया। पहले भी था मगर उतना नहीं था। जब टूरिस्ट कोई चालू होता है उसी को टाइम कुछ न कुछ यहाँ पर होता है। यहाँ पर 95% टूरिस्ट के ऊपर है, चाहे घोड़ा वाला, शिकारा वाला, होटल वाला, टैक्सी वाला, सब टूरिस्ट के ऊपर है। इसमें ज़्यादा यहाँ बिजनेस टूरिस्ट के ऊपर है।
While on the surface level everything looked positive for the economy, reality isn't very deeply buried under the ground. The abrogation of Article 370 has polarized the mindset of the citizens of Kashmir. On one hand, a certain sector of the population has become more development-oriented, the others still revere in the idea of Azad or Free Kashmir. The politics of Kashmir has always been that of sentiment, identity, and preservation. We needed to understand what the vision for Kashmir was, especially after the current election. Was it the play of identity or the work of economy? We had the opportunity to have a conversation with Mr. Harshvardhan Singh, the current president of the student union of the leading party, the National Conference. आपका क्या मैसेज?
जी देखिए, मेरा सबसे बड़ा ये पॉइंट है कि आइडेंटिटी को बचाते हुए, कल्चर को बचाते हुए हमने डेवलपमेंट की तरफ जाना है। कोई भी डेवलपमेंट वो होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट नहीं होती जब आप अपना कल्चर खत्म कर दो, जब आप अपनी आइडेंटिटी खत्म कर दो। आज हिंदुस्तान की शायद बेस अगर थोड़ी कम भी है, हम उस चीज़ को बर्दाश्त करने के लिए हैं, लेकिन हम चाहते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान का जो एक सबसे बड़ा एक मूल मंत्र है, जो एक आप कह सकते हैं जिसमें हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, जो डिफरेंट आइडेंटिटीज़ हैं, डिफरेंट कल्चर्स हैं, उसको प्रिजर्व करते हुए हमने एक जम्मू कश्मीर प्लस हिंदुस्तान को हमने एक नया रोशनी देनी है।
The question which arises is that how feasible is it for identity and economy to coexist parallelly? Is it possible? More importantly, was the abrogation fair to the citizens who advocated for independence? We spoke to Professor Sheikh Shaukat, former head of Legal and Human Rights Department at Central University, Kashmir, for insights to find out more.
During the abrogation, what was the main concern that people were feeling at that time?
Actually, there is a feeling that once authorities take away your liberties, there is no progress.
Was the economy actually booming at the expense of seizing the identity of the Kashmiri people? To find out more, we attended a press conference held by academicians at a university in Kashmir. However, we had to keep the sources anonymous.
as far as development is not all about the infrastructure.
No, it is not.
Kashmir economy is totally an agrarian economy, where people are dependent on the agriculture. Our horticulture, where people are 70% dependent on that.
70% of the state.
That is in shock, right? We are not, given the neoliberal policies of the India, pulling the chains of imports, where imports are now, duty-free imports are from, US, from Australia, from apples are coming from there. Okay, they are good in size, good in shape, because their infrastructure is high-tech. Our infrastructure is not so high-tech that where we can sustain our horticulture. So, jab India ke
The professors were hesitant to reveal their identities because of the UAPA Act, which prevents any anti-government agendas.
The Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Under that, there are a lot of journalists, a lot of academicians who have to really watch out what they're teaching or what they're saying. Is it still happening over here?
Yes, much happening there here, because ever since we had this 2019, things became more problematic. Otherwise also, the problems were here, but since 2019, things became more problematic. And people are scared of speaking, who might have experienced it. And people feel that everywhere they are under watch and they don't express. And otherwise also people were a bit scared, but not so much. Yes.
Even though the experts and research suggests otherwise, the illusion of economy remains apparent but largely within the tourism industry, which often remains in direct contact with people from out of the state, like that of Mr. Shamim Shah, a houseboat owner at Nagin Lake. He's been a houseboat owner for many years.
COVID was somehow blessing in disguise for Kashmir because of border restrictions by different countries. Then we were the first destination to open for tourists in November 2020. We took a calculated risk, but it paid off. So people were fed up in their homes. So it has been the best of best business since then. Yes, since July this year, it has gone down due to we had security restrictions for Amarnath Yatra followed by elections. We anticipate it will again go up.
It is possible to postulate that tourism has indeed seen growth over the last 4 years. However, this piece comes at a price. We revisit Professor Shaukat to understand what the Kashmiri people want.
China holding 37,000 square kilometers, Pakistan holding 72,000 square kilometers, and India also holding a huge chunk. Now, almost 60% of the land is held by India. Countries are divided, and this line of divided control runs through the localities. People are divided, and people want resolution of this problem. It cannot linger on continuously because generations have passed, and so many people have suffered over here, over there, everywhere. That is the basic idea which people have within their mind. Now, whatever has been done, the things as were prior to 2019, they expect that this mandate should be a message to them too, that people have not taken it, they have not digested it. And they must go back to that stage. Then NC, even during this election, mentioned that they stand by the autonomy report. Autonomy report they had passed in the state legislature, 300-page report, wherein they mentioned that they will go or they will demand from center the position that state enjoyed prior to 1953, when state and center relations were governed by an instrument of accession, which was defense, currency, and foreign affairs, and international trade. This was the total, which was with the center, the rest was with the state. So that was the plank on which they fought elections. People will expect them to fulfill their promises, and when they expect from NC, they also expect from center to do something in this context. That is it.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. These lines quoted by Charles Dickens perfectly embody the story of Kashmir, its fight for its identity, its tendency to flight into emancipation. Javed Iqbal in his book calls Kashmir a state of impunity. He says its haywire economy is anything but Kashmir-centric. And Kashmiriyat or Kashmiri identity is one inseparable, as it isn't an individual entity, it is how Kashmiri people are construed, how their life is construed. The conflict between identity and economy has been a long-standing battle the citizens have endured. The state has seen loss of life and the loss of living. They have witnessed massacres of their self-conception. Listening to the stories of these people make us realize that even if we know about the history of their struggles, we can't come close to empathizing with them. They don't need our sympathy. They don't need for us to empower them. They need us to ask questions to those who oppress them. Kashmir has always been an iridescent state to comprehend. Pre and post Article 370, the citizens called for growth, but not at the expense of freedom. The Unlawful Activity Preventions Act has limited a lot of people to come forward and honestly narrate the story of their lives. But the state has answered in more ways than one that they are capable and they are willing. To understand Kashmir and to understand Kashmiriyat, one must learn to look at it separately. It's not India or China or Pakistan, but the ground is that of its people,